At my birthday dinner, my brother's child hurled my handbag into the water, screaming, "Dad says you don't deserve anything nice." His wife burst out laughing uncontrollably. I gave a thin smile, left quietly, and stopped the payments on his car loan. The following morning, his car was gone. And then, the evening air carried the scent of jasmine and chlorine as I arrived at Bella Vista, the upscale restaurant I'd reserved a month in advance for my 36th birthday. The establishment gleamed with understated elegance, cream-colored stone walls draped with cascading bougainvillea, wrought iron tables adorned with flickering votives, and at the heart of the outdoor terrace, an ornamental pool that reflected the amber glow of string lights overhead. This was my gift to myself, a rare indulgence after months of ruthless budgeting, endless client calls, and the perpetual juggling act of single parenthood. My name is Nicole, and if my life were a novel, the past few years would constitute the chapters. Nobody wants to read the ones filled with divorce attorneys, custody negotiations, and the slow, grinding work of rebuilding a life from fractured pieces. At 36, I've learned that resilience isn't a virtue you're born with. It's a muscle you develop through repetition, through showing up day after day, even when exhaustion settles into your bones like frost. I run a small marketing consultancy from my home office, a converted sunroom where I've built something I'm genuinely proud of. My client roster has grown from 3 to 27. My daughter, Hannah, thrives in her 5th grade classroom. We have routines, inside jokes, and a life that, while not extravagant, feels authentically ours. That particular evening, Hannah sat beside me in the lavender dress she'd picked out specifically for this occasion, her eyes bright with anticipation. She'd been talking about the restaurant's famous crème brûlée for weeks. Ever since I'd shown her the menu online, her excitement was infectious. A reminder that even small celebrations matter. That marking milestones, even quiet ones, creates the architecture of a meaningful life. My brother Josh and his wife Tessa arrived predictably late, their tardiness as reliable as the sunrise. They swept onto the terrace with the chaotic energy of people who believe the world adjusts to their schedule rather than the reverse. Josh, 2 years, my junior, but perpetually seeming older, that wore the weary expression of someone carrying invisible weights. His shoulders slumped as he dropped into his chair without greeting anyone properly, immediately flagging down a server to order a double whiskey. Nate, Tessa, on the other hand, radiated a different kind of exhaustion, the performative variety, the kind that announces itself with dramatic sighs and pointed glances. She offered me a smile that never quite reached her eyes, the muscles around her mouth tightening in what I'd come to recognize as her version of civility. Behind them trailed Logan, their 8-year-old son, a whirlwind of unchecked energy and misplaced aggression. He burst onto the terrace shouting complaints about the restaurant before his parents had even pulled out their chairs. What struck me most wasn't Logan's behavior itself. Children can be difficult, especially when they're tired or overstimulated, but rather the absolute absence of parental intervention. Tessa and Josh watched their son climb onto chairs, stick his fingers into the communal breadbasket, and interrupt adult conversations with the detached interest of people observing strangers at a bus stop. When Logan's volume escalated, disturbing neighboring tables, Tessa merely waved her hand dismissively and said, "Go play, baby," as though the restaurant terrace were a playground designed for his entertainment. The other guests at our table, my parents, 2 cousins, and their spouses maintained a studied silence. They focused intently on their wine glasses, the printed menus, the decorative arrangements, anything to avoid acknowledging the mounting tension. Their eyes darted away whenever Logan's behavior escalated, a choreographed avoidance I'd witnessed countless times before. This was the unspoken family agreement. We pretended Josh's marriage was normal, that Tessa's parenting choices were merely different, that Logan's increasingly concerning behavior was just a phase. We maintained this fiction because confronting reality meant acknowledging that Josh had made choices we couldn't support, that he'd built a life requiring constant external subsidy, both financial and emotional. The meal progressed in fits and starts, conversations beginning and dying as Logan ricocheted around the terrace. I tried to focus on Hannah, on her excited chatter about an upcoming school science fair. On the way, candlelight caught the golden highlights in her hair, I tried to convince myself that this was still a celebration, that I could salvage something meaningful from this evening. The waitstaff brought courses with practiced professionalism, though I noticed the tightness around their smiles, the way they gave our table a wider berth than others. Then came the cake, a simple gesture of hospitality from the restaurant. A single slice of tiramisu with a solitary candle wavering in the evening breeze. My family sang happy birthday in that self-conscious, slightly off-key manner, universal to such moments. I smiled, genuinely touched by the thoughtfulness of the restaurant staff if not by the enthusiasm of my relatives. I closed my eyes. They made a wish something vague about peace and stability, and prepared to blow out the candle. That's when Logan struck. He appeared behind me with the predatory stealth children sometimes develop, his small hands darting toward my chair. Before I could react, he'd seized my new leather purse, a Coach bag I'd saved for over 6 months to purchase. Treating myself after landing a particularly lucrative client, and bolted toward the decorative pool. The bag represented more than its monetary value. It symbolized my hard-won independence. Proof that I could provide for myself and my daughter. Evidence that I was rebuilding successfully. Logan reached the pool's edge and turned back, his face illuminated by malicious delight. He locked eyes with me, ensuring I was watching, and then shouted with perfect clarity, his voice carrying across the entire terrace. "Dad says you don't deserve nice things." The words hung in the air like smoke, their cruelty amplified by their premeditated quality. This wasn't a childish impulse, this was rehearsed malice. Then, with theatrical flourish, he hurled my purse into the chlorinated water. The splash seemed impossibly loud in the sudden silence. Conversations at neighboring tables stopped mid-sentence. Waiters froze mid-stride. The entire terrace held its breath, waiting to see how this violation would be addressed. But at our table, Tessa began laughing. Not a polite chuckle or embarrassed giggle, but full-throated, gasping laughter. She doubled over, tears streaming down her face, her body shaking with hysterical mirth. She slapped the table, knocked over her wine glass, and made no effort whatsoever to control herself. The laughter felt like violence, each bark another assault, a public endorsement of the humiliation I'd just endured. Josh didn't even look up from his drink. His face remained impassive, carefully neutral, as though nothing remarkable had occurred. He took another sip of whiskey, his eyes fixed on some middle distance, his silence more damning than any words could have been. Nobody moved to retrieve my purse. Nobody told Logan to apologize. My parents stared resolutely at their plates, their studied neutrality feeling like complicity. My cousins found sudden fascination with their phones. Hannah looked at me with wide, frightened eyes, her small hand reaching for mine under the table. I stood slowly, with a calmness I didn't feel. I took Hannah's hand and walked toward the exit without speaking, without looking back, without giving them the satisfaction of witnessing my pain. Behind me, I heard someone murmur, "Should we?" But nobody finished the sentence. Nobody followed. I left them there with the bill, the ruined evening, and my waterlogged purse floating among the lily pads. The drive home passed in a blur of streetlights and swallowed tears. Hannah remained quiet beside me, occasionally glancing over with concerned eyes, but wisely staying silent. When we arrived home, I helped her into pajamas, tucked her into bed, and sat on the edge of her mattress until her breathing deepened into sleep. Then, I walked downstairs, poured myself a glass of wine I wouldn't drink, and sat in the darkness of my living room. My phone buzzed continuously, texts from Josh, from Tessa, from my mother, but I ignored them all. I let them sit in their discomfort, in the questions they should have been asking themselves, what they didn't know, what I'd never told anyone, was that for the past 26 months, I had been their primary financial lifeline. When Josh lost his job at the pharmaceutical company, he claimed it was downsizing. Though rumors suggested performance issues, he'd come to me with tears in his eyes, and Tessa pregnant with their second child. He asked for help with rent. Just temporarily. Just until he got back on his feet. The amount was $1,600 monthly, paid automatically from my business account, directly to their landlord. 3 months. Tops. He'd promised. That was 2 years ago. The car came next. 6 months after the rent arrangement began, Josh appeared at my door with a proposal. He'd found work at a medical supply company, but he needed reliable transportation. His credit was destroyed from previous financial mismanagement. Would I co-sign a loan? Would I cover the payments until he received his first commission check? I'd agreed. Setting up another automatic payment. Another monthly deduction. Another thread binding me to their dysfunction. Then came the school tuition. Tessa insisted their children attend Pinecrest Academy, an expensive charter school with a waiting list and prestige she believed would elevate their family's social standing. When they couldn't afford the fees, she appeared at my house with a folder of glossy brochures, explaining how Logan needed structure and their daughter deserved opportunities. I'd agreed to cover half the tuition, $850 per month, telling myself I was investing in my niece and nephew's futures. The calculations were simple. I was paying over $4,000 monthly to support my brother's family. Money that came directly from my business profits. From late nights writing proposals and early mornings managing client crises. I'd convinced myself this was what family did. That supporting them was noble. That my assistance was temporary. But sitting in my darkened living room, my ruined purse still dripping chlorinated water in the restaurant's pool, I finally understood the truth. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't family supporting family through a rough patch. This was exploitation dressed up as obligation. Manipulation wrapped in the language of kinship. I opened my banking app. The screen's blue glow harsh in the darkness. My fingers moved with surprising steadiness as I navigated to the automatic payments section. First, the rent payment canceled. Then the car loan canceled. I saved the changes, watching the confirmation messages appear like small victories. The entire process took less than 3 minutes. 26 months of financial bondage dissolved with a few taps on a screen. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The next morning arrived with crystalline clarity, the kind of bright autumn day that seems designed for new beginnings. I made Hannah pancakes, drove her to school, and returned home to work. My phone remained on silent, though I could see the notifications piling up. 17 missed calls, 32 unread texts. At 9:05 a.m., Josh called. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, a text arrived. Where the hell is my car? No greeting. No acknowledgement of the previous night's events. Just immediate, entitled outrage. I didn't respond. But curiosity got the better of me around lunchtime. I drove past Josh's rental house. A modest 3-bedroom in a development optimistically named Heritage Oaks. The driveway stood conspicuously empty, a dark oil stain marking where his sedan usually sat. Through the living room window, I could see Tessa pacing with a phone pressed to her ear, her free hand gesturing wildly. The satisfaction I felt wasn't petty or cruel. It was the quiet contentment of boundaries finally enforced, of consequences finally applied. The calls and messages continued relentlessly. Josh's voicemails evolved from confused to angry to desperate, cycling through emotions without ever acknowledging what had sparked this change. He ranted about the towing company, about missing work, about Tessa's fury. He demanded explanations, threatened legal action, appealed to my sense of family obligation. But never once did he mention my birthday, the purse, or Logan's calculated cruelty. On the third day, the tactics shifted. A photo arrived on my phone, Logan holding a piece of construction paper with, "Sorry, Aunt Nikki," scrawled in blue crayon. His expression suggesting someone had instructed him to look sad. The image was clearly staged, probably taken at Tessa's direction. A performative gesture meant to manipulate rather than express genuine remorse. I deleted it without responding. That same afternoon, another deadline approached. One they'd clearly forgotten the rent was due. My phone rang with a call from their landlord, Mr. Hendricks, a patient man in his 60s who'd always dealt with me professionally. He left a polite voicemail inquiring whether I'd accidentally canceled the automatic payment, his tone suggesting he suspected otherwise. I didn't return his call. Their housing situation was no longer my responsibility. The next morning, Tessa texted me with stunning audacity, "Hey, can you send the rent today? We're short this month." The message contained no acknowledgement of Logan's behavior, no apology, no recognition that anything problematic had occurred. Just the casual presumption that I would continue funding their life indefinitely. This time, I responded. My message was deliberately brief and professional. I will not be covering your rent anymore. Please make other arrangements. The reaction was immediate and volcanic. Josh called 6 times in rapid succession. Each call I ignored more satisfying than the last. Then, he changed tactics. Messaging my parents, our cousins, anyone who might apply pressure on his behalf. He portrayed himself as the victim of my vindictive behavior, conveniently omitting the context that had precipitated my decision. My mother called that evening, her voice carrying that particular weariness reserved for women exhausted by their children's conflicts. Nicole, I'm not taking sides, she began, a preamble I'd heard countless times. But I hope you'll think things through carefully. He's your brother. Family is supposed to forgive. The statement revealed everything wrong with our family dynamics. She wasn't asking Josh to apologize or Tessa to take responsibility. She was asking me to capitulate, to continue funding their dysfunction, to prioritize their comfort over my dignity. Her neutrality wasn't fairness, it was enabling. I have thought things through, I replied calmly. For the first time in years, I'm thinking clearly. By the weekend, Josh's messages had abandoned all pretense of civility. One text read, "You know we can't afford this place without you. So you're really going to let your nephew get evicted? You're that bitter." The framing was masterful. I was the villain for enforcing boundaries, while they bore no responsibility for creating the circumstances requiring those boundaries. They'd learned nothing. But I wasn't finished. Another payment loomed. One that would hurt even more acutely: the children's school tuition. Pinecrest Academy's quarterly payment was due in 5 days. A sum of $2,550 that I'd been covering for 2 years. I logged into the school's parent portal, navigated to the billing section, and methodically deleted my payment information. The action felt neither petty nor vengeful. It felt necessary, like removing a splinter that had been festering for too long. 2 mornings later, I walked outside carrying my coffee, gaze in hand, preparing to drive Hannah to school. What I saw stopped me mid-step. A deep, vicious scratch ran the length of my car's passenger side, gouged with deliberate force from the front door to the rear bumper. The windshield bore a perfect star-shaped crack, positioned precisely in my line of sight, making the vehicle unsafe to drive. I stood there for a long moment, coffee cooling in my hand, processing this escalation. They'd come to my home. They'd damaged my property. They'd crossed from emotional manipulation into criminal territory. I didn't cry. Instead, I walked back inside, set down my coffee with deliberate care, and called my friend Ellie. She's been my anchor since my divorce. The friend who tells uncomfortable truths when everyone else offers platitudes. "They vandalized your car," she said flatly, when I'd finished explaining. "You need to press charges now." "That feels so permanent." He hesitated. Once you do that, you protect yourself and Hannah." She interrupted. "What if next time they don't stop at a car? What if it had been Hannah's birthday? What if that had been her purse? Her property? Her safety?" The question reframed everything. This wasn't about whether I could forgive them. This was about whether I would protect my daughter from people who demonstrated they felt entitled to hurt us. That evening, I sat Hannah down for a difficult conversation. I explained that Uncle Josh and Aunt Tessa might have damaged my car, that sometimes adults make very poor choices, that sometimes people we love aren't safe to be around. Hannah was quiet for a moment, processing. Then she said something that changed everything. "You know, Logan's mom told him to do it." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "Sweetheart, at the restaurant," she explained carefully, her young face troubled. "When you went to the bathroom before the cake came out, Aunt Tessa leaned down really close to Logan's ear. I couldn't hear everything, but I heard her say something like, 'Show her she's not better than us.' And Logan smiled this weird smile and nodded." The revelation hit me like physical impact. This wasn't a child's impulsive misbehavior. This was premeditated cruelty, coached by an adult, designed specifically to humiliate me publicly. Tessa had weaponized her own child, had taught him that hurting people was acceptable when you felt threatened by their success. Then I remembered, upscale restaurants have security systems. I called Bella Vista immediately, explaining the situation to the manager. He remembered the incident. Of course he did. It had disrupted his entire terrace and agreed to provide the footage. The video arrived in my inbox 3 hours later. Watching it felt surreal. Seeing the evening unfold from an objective perspective. The footage captured everything: Logan grabbing my purse with clear intent, the throw, Tessa's hysterical laughter, Josh's studied indifference. The audio was crystal clear. Logan's voice ringing out, "Dad says you don't deserve nice things." I forwarded the video to Ellie. Her response arrived within minutes: contact information for an attorney who specialized in family law and harassment cases. The school tuition crisis erupted the following day. Pinecrest Academy sent Josh and Tessa an alert that both children were listed as having unpaid accounts. Their daughter's fall enrollment was suspended. Logan's access to the online classroom portal was revoked. The school took these matters seriously. Unpaid tuition meant immediate consequences. The messages from Josh and Tessa grew increasingly frantic. They tried sweetness first. Messages filled with heart emojis and casual language, pretending nothing had happened. When that failed, they shifted to guilt, reminding me of all the times we'd been there for each other as children. Conveniently rewriting history. Finally came blame. I was cruel, vindictive, selfish. I was destroying their children's futures over a minor incident. I responded to none of it. On Sunday morning, they arrived at my house unannounced. I watched through the window as they walked up the path. Josh in wrinkled khakis, Tessa in yoga pants and an oversized sweater. I opened the door precisely 6 inches. Enough to hear them, but not enough to suggest they were welcome inside. "You could have handled this privately," Josh began, his voice tight with controlled anger. "We've had a really rough year," Tessa added, her expression carefully arranged into something approximating contriteness. "We thought you, of all people, it would understand what it's like to struggle." I said nothing, just looked at them with the same careful neutrality they'd offered me while my purse floated in chlorinated water. "You're really going to throw away family over a purse and a couple of payments," Josh finally said, his frustration breaking through. The statement revealed everything. To them, I was abandoning family over trivial matters. They genuinely couldn't see that they'd been exploiting me for years, that they'd confused my generosity with their entitlement, that they'd bitten the hand that fed them and then complained about the taste. I closed the door without speaking, locked it quietly, and walked back to my kitchen table. For 5 minutes, I sat in silence, drinking cold coffee, processing. Then I opened my laptop, navigated to the police department's non-emergency portal, and filed a formal report for destruction of property. I attached the restaurant security footage, photographs of my damaged car, and a detailed timeline of events. Filing felt like stepping off a cliff, but also like shedding weight I'd carried for too long. 2 officers arrived that evening, professional and thorough. They'd reviewed the footage. They also mentioned something I didn't know: the restaurant had filed a separate incident report about a missing iPad that same night. Security footage showed Logan taking a tablet from a server's bag. Josh had returned it the next morning, claiming Logan had found it. My report, combined with this previous incident, created a pattern of behavior that escalated everything. By Wednesday, my parents had been contacted by investigating officers. My mother called, her voice thin with stress. "Are you sure you want to go this far? Nicole, once you involve the police, you can't take it back. They involved themselves." I replied calmly, "I'm just documenting what they did. Your father and I just hope you'll all talk this out like adults." She continued, "This is tearing the family apart." But they didn't understand. Their determined neutrality, their refusal to acknowledge that Josh and Tessa's behavior was indefensible, was its own form of betrayal. By treating both sides as equally valid, they were endorsing the abuser's position. Then came the final, unforgivable escalation. Hannah's school called on Thursday afternoon. The administrative assistant's voice carried professional concern as she explained that someone had called that morning, claiming to be me, asking detailed questions about Hannah's schedule, her pickup routine, which after-school program she attended. The school had flagged the call as suspicious per their safety protocols and had recorded it. They played me the recording. The voice was artificially sweet, slightly breathy, attempting an accent that sounded nothing like mine. But I knew instantly. The voice was unmistakably Tessa's. They'd targeted my daughter. They'd attempted to interfere with her safety, to access information about her routines, to potentially intercept or frighten her. Whatever line existed between family conflict and genuine danger, they'd crossed it. I thanked the school for their vigilance and immediately called the detective handling my property damage case. Within an hour, I had an emergency restraining order against Tessa. The charges included attempted identity fraud, harassment, and actions constituting potential harm to a minor. Josh appeared at my house the next day. Alone this time. He looked smaller somehow, diminished by stress and circumstances. I stepped onto the porch but didn't invite him inside. The landlord started eviction paperwork. He said, without preamble, "The kids are officially pulled from Pinecrest. Tessa is. She's not doing well. I just want things to go back to normal." "Normal," I repeated quietly. "You mean when I paid for your life while your wife publicly humiliated me and you did nothing?" He flinched but pushed forward. "She was jealous." "Okay, you have your business, your freedom, your nice things. She just wanted you to feel what it's like when someone takes something from you." The admission was staggering. He was explaining their cruelty as though it were justified, as though my success obligated me to accept abuse. They genuinely believed they were the victims, that my boundaries represented aggression rather than self-preservation. "Leave," I said simply, "and never come back." He opened his mouth to argue, but something in my expression stopped him. He walked to his borrowed car. Tessa's parents had apparently loaned them a vehicle and drove away. I went inside, locked every door and window, and sat in my kitchen until the shaking stopped. Forensics results arrived 4 days later. The scratches on my car had been made with a house key, the depth and angle consistent with deliberate vandalism rather than accidental contact. The fingerprints lifted from the damaged area matched one person, Tessa. A warrant was being processed for her arrest. My mother called when the warrant went active. She didn't ask how I was doing, didn't inquire about Hannah, didn't acknowledge the trauma we'd experienced. She simply asked, "Is it true? Is Tessa really about to be arrested? I don't want to take sides." She added quickly, "But this has gone too far." "It went too far," I replied quietly. "The moment my purse hit the water, it went too far when they damaged my car. It went too far when Tessa tried to access information about Hannah. But you weren't concerned about any of that. You're only worried now because there are consequences." I hung up before she could respond. I don't know the full extent of what happened to them afterward. I've heard fragments through mutual acquaintances, stories passed along like gossip. They moved into a cramped 2-bedroom apartment in a rough neighborhood. The school refused to re-enroll the children, even if they paid. Tessa faced fines, community service, and probation. Josh cycled through 3 jobs in as many months. I blocked their numbers, blocked my parents' numbers, blocked anyone who tried to serve as an intermediary. I cleared the slate completely, creating space where there had been only obligation and pain. This year, for my birthday, Hannah and I drove to the mountains. We rented a small cabin with a view of pine-covered slopes, and spent our days hiking and our evenings reading by a stone fireplace. We ate ice cream for breakfast because we could, laughed until our sides ached, and existed in a bubble of peace we'd created for ourselves. On my actual birthday, we hiked to a waterfall, and Hannah presented me with a card she'd made. Inside, she'd written, "Thank you for teaching me that it's okay to walk away from people who hurt us. I love you, Mom." I cried then, not from sadness, but from relief. Despite everything, I'd protected her. I'd shown her that dignity matters, more than maintaining appearances. That self-respect isn't selfishness. That sometimes love means knowing when to let go. Sometimes, the hardest thing isn't cutting someone off. It's recognizing they were never really holding on to you in the first place. Josh and Tessa didn't see me as family. They saw me as a resource to be exploited until depleted, then discarded with resentment. When the resource finally protected herself, they attempted to punish her for it. They didn't ruin me, though they certainly tried. Instead, they revealed themselves completely, stripping away any remaining illusions about who they truly were. And in doing so, they inadvertently gave me the greatest gift, the clarity to understand that obligation and love aren't synonymous. That family is a verb rather than a noun. Something built through care and respect, rather than demanded through shared DNA. I'm free now. The financial burden is lifted. The emotional manipulation has ended. My daughter is safe, happy, and learning that she deserves to be treated with kindness. We've built a life that belongs entirely to us, unmarred by others' dysfunction. And when I look back on that night at Bella Vista, at my purse sinking beneath lily pads while Tessa laughed, I no longer feel humiliation or anger. I feel gratitude. They showed me exactly who they were. And for once, I believed them. That belief saved me. Story 2. When my parents said, "We love your adopted brother more than you because he's the lucky one." So 10 years later, I abandoned them and took my revenge. My name's asterisk, asterisk, Ethan asterisk, asterisk. I'm Gulma Aldate. And my parents raised a, asterisk, asterisk, golden child, asterisk, asterisk, they adopted, then spent the next decade teaching me that the kid they had first was just the backup plan. I was 8 when my parents carried asterisk asterisk, Caleb asterisk asterisk, over the threshold. He was 7. All elbows and wide eyes. The kind of crying that made adults talk softer and move faster. Within a month, the house learned a new orbit. And the center wasn't me. Schedule bent. Meals bent. Attention bent. The nightlight in the hallway stayed on for him. I learned to see in the dark. Christmas, that winter, said the quiet part out loud. I peeled thin paper off a 2-pack of socks, while Caleb tore into a bulky rectangle and lifted a asterisk asterisk pre-owned Nintendo 64 asterisk 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 a retro console. The pawn shop had cleaned up asterisk asterisk. The price tag sticker still ghosting the corner of the box. It wasn't the newest thing on the market, but it was big and bright, and it belonged to him. I remember the way the colored bulbs from our tree reflected on the plastic wrap. How the room felt warmer on his side. Why does he get that and I get these? I asked. Because I needed someone to admit what I already knew. Mom kissed my hair. He's been through so much. Honey, you're lucky you've always had us. I stopped asking questions after that. The answers weren't meant for me. For as long as I can remember, everyday choices arrived, pre-decided. If Caleb wanted pizza, we got pizza. If I asked for Chinese, Dad would clap his hands and announce, "We already decided on pizza." Like a verdict. My birthday party shrank 8 kids. Then 5. Then a casserole at dinner, while Caleb's grew until cars lined our street, and the living room turned into a coat rack. There was always a reason. He'd had a hard day. He needed the win. He was fragile. I learned that fragile in our house didn't mean careful. It meant asterisk, asterisk, permission, asterisk, asterisk. At 14, I made asterisk asterisk, honor roll, asterisk asterisk for the first time straight A's. Perfect attendance. The works. The certificate shook a little as I handed it to Mom. I was sure I'd found the lever that opened her attention. "That's nice, sweetie," she said, eyes already sliding to the couch where Caleb lay face down on his backpack. "Did you finish your homework?" Caleb groaned about a headache. He was failing 3 classes. That same week, Dad came home with a asterisk asterisk, $400 guitar asterisk asterisk, because Caleb said he might want to learn. The case thumped against the hallway wall like a new monument to potential. It would sit in the corner asterisk asterisk for 2 years. Asterisk asterisk. Gathering dust and the kind of resentment that sticks to your gums. When I asked for a asterisk, asterisk, $20, calculator asterisk, asterisk for algebra, Dad blew air through his teeth and said we couldn't afford extras right now. That night I slid my fingers into the couch cushions and fished out asterisk asterisk quarters, asterisk asterisk, until I had enough to buy a used one from a classmate. It smelled faintly like lemon cleaner and loss. I should have known. The signs were there. As obvious as the permanent dip in the sofa where Caleb liked to sit. By 16, I had mapped my life around his weather. Then, out of nowhere, my parents announced a asterisk asterisk birthday party, asterisk asterisk for me at the arcade. I loved the first time in years they'd done anything big with my name on it. I let hope into the house like a stray I could keep. I texted asterisk, asterisk, 12 friends, asterisk, asterisk. Planned the games. Pictured my parents seeing me the way the arcade lights see every kid bright. Equal. Buzzing. 3 days before the party. I passed Caleb's door and heard him on the phone. Voice bright with that swagger he wore when he knew he'd win. Yeah. Just asterisk throw. A fit the day before asterisk. He said. They always cave. Then it'll be asterisk, my party asterisk, and he'll look like an asterisk idiot, in front of his friends. He knew I was there. He met my eyes through the crack and smiled like gravity worked for him. I didn't tell my parents. A small, reckless piece of me wanted to see if the universe would surprise me for once. On the morning of the party, Caleb delivered his tantrum like clockwork. He wanted the same arcade for his birthday next month. It would be unfair if he had to wait. Mom's hand hovered on his shoulder. Dad nodded too fast, as if speed could shake a solution loose. Okay, Dad said. We'll celebrate you both today. Two birds. One stone. Caleb already cleared it with you. Right. I hadn't spoken to Caleb all week. No. I said. Dad tugged me aside. The way you steer a grocery cart with a wobbly wheel. Stop being selfish. He's fragile You're not. They rolled out *1, cake **. Vanilla. Caleb's favorite. I'm allergic to vanilla hives bloom along my neck like someone tracing a map with a hot pen. I watched my friends fork through slices of my birthday while I sat in the corner with a plastic cup of water. Skin itching. Cheeks hot. Caleb blew out the candles. Made a wish. And looked at me as the smoke curled like punctuation. On the napkin in my hand. The red dye bled onto my fingers, a small stain that felt like a verdict. That night, the house finally told the truth. Dad had left an envelope on his desk. Flap folded, but not sealed. I wasn't supposed to see it. I saw it anyway. My grandmother's tidy handwriting, Dad's mother. Gone a year before Caleb arrived on a letter from her lawyer. She'd left, 200. Ling. With a condition, my parents could access it. Only if they adopted a child in need within 2 years of her death. They hadn't adopted Caleb out of kindness. They had adopted him for the money and they had spent it on him The room went very quiet. It felt like learning the rules of a game I'd been losing my whole childhood. Names on the scoreboard changed grades. Chores. Parties. Gifts, but the winner never did. I slid the envelope back exactly where it had been and walked out with my feet placed carefully so the floor wouldn't squeak. From that night on, I took notes, little mental breadcrumbs I could follow when I started to doubt my own memory. Incident cancellettuno. Pizza verse. Chinese. Announced as a question. Delivered as a decree. Incident #2, Honor roll verse. Headaches. Applause withheld. Excuses funded. Incident #3, guitar at $400, calculator at $20, somehow too much. Incident cancelletto 4. 1 cake. Wrong flavor. The lesson served in frosting. Each breadcrumb said the same thing in a different accent in this family. Caleb's wants were needs and my needs were negotiable. I started narrating my own life in the quiet places where nobody could correct me. In the shower with the fan loud. Walking to school along the chain-link fence. Lying awake and watching car headlights crease the ceiling. You're not crazy. I told myself. You saw what you saw. Sometimes I'd add a joke to make it go down easier. Note to self: carry antihistamines to your own party. At 17, I began a long inventory of what belonged to me and what didn't. My grades. Mine. My time. Sometimes mine. Often borrowed. My temper, quieter than people thought. My patience, not endless, just polite. My place at the table, conditional. My name, said less often than his. My voice, learning how to show up without permission. On the morning of my *18th birthday, I woke to a house that sounded like any other Tuesday. No card, no text, no cake in the fridge. Not that I could have eaten it. At *3 p.m. Mom called me downstairs like she was summoning a plumber. We're doing a joint party. For you and Caleb next month, she said, wiping at a clean counter. He's turning 17. You're 18. It's more efficient. I laughed. It startled both of us. I'm moving out today. I said. Dad's face went the color of a stop sign. You're grounded. I'm 18. I said. You can't ground me. Mom's eyes filled with tears like a reflex. After everything we've done for you You did it for him I said. Steady. I was just in the way. I carried 2 duffel bags down the steps. Past the couch with the dip. Past the guitar case, leaned in the corner like an answer to a question no one had asked me. I blocked their numbers that night. The bus doors folded shut and the city unspooled ahead. Not promising to be kind. Only offering to be honest. That was enough. Here's what I wish someone had told me sooner: when a family rehearses one reflex long enough, it becomes muscle memory. They will call it love because love is the word that hurts least when you say it out loud. But a reflex is still a reflex. It reaches for the same lever every time. Even when the lever breaks. I didn't understand that at 8. Or 14. Or even 16 with hives crawling up my throat while everyone sang. At 18. I finally did. The letter on Dad's desk wasn't just numbers. It was a ledger of asterisk choices, theirs. Then mine. And yet, even then, I left a crack in the door. Not big. Just enough for a draft of hope to pass through on lonely nights. I told myself people could change. I told myself I could. 2. I told myself I would try to remember the difference between forgiveness, and permission, I didn't know what would come next. Not really. I only knew I was done volunteering to be invisible. I didn't understand that one day I'd sit in a diner and lay $50 under a check and call that fairness. I didn't know there would be a moving sale years later, where a management company would liquidate what the house left behind after closing and that I'd pay $15 for a story disguised as a guitar and carry it somewhere it could make sound. All of that lived in a future I couldn't see yet. What I had was the present: a plastic bus seat, a window smeared with city, a wallet with a few bills that were mine, and a sentence I could finally say without my voice shaking. I am not the one you chose. I am the one who chooses. I learned quickly that freedom has a price and a schedule. The first week on campus, I stacked my classes so I could work nights. The grocery store near the bus depot hired me because I could lift crates and say "have a good one" like I meant it. I stocked shelves from 6 to midnight. Then tutored algebra on Saturdays for $8 an hour and a lukewarm cocoa from the student center machine. My dorm room had a bed, a lamp with a crooked neck, and a view of the loading dock. It also had silence that belonged to me. Sometimes I'd crack the window and let the sound of trucks backing up remind me there were places to go that didn't require permission. Money was the only math that didn't talk back. I watched it add up. In my own account, the *teen divided by student account I'd opened legally with a local credit union the summer before I turned 18. A teller had walked me through it: bring a learner's ID, proof of school enrollment, and a mailing address where I could actually receive statements. I used my friend's aunt's address with her blessing. When my birthday came, the credit union flipped it to a full student account. No guardian needed. It wasn't glamorous, but it meant my paychecks landed somewhere. Only I could touch. That detail matters. It turns daydreams into rent. For a while, my phone stayed quiet, no calls from home. No texts. Then around midterms, an unknown number flashed, and I knew it by the way it skipped hello. Pick up. It read. It's Mom? Urgent. Urgent. In our house. Had always been a mood. Not a metric. I called anyway. Ethan. Mom said, exhaling my name like she'd been holding her breath for months. We need your social security number. Why? It's for something with the bank. She said. Papers rustled on her end. They just need it on a form. It's easier if we use the same address for everyone. No. I said, and felt the new spine inside my voice. Use your own numbers. You're being difficult. She snapped. Then softened. We're doing our best. After we hung up, Caleb texted from a number I didn't have saved. Chill. It's for a phone plan. Family discount. To be a team player. I blocked both numbers. I kept my phone on airplane mode for 3 days so I wouldn't check it when I was tired. Expenses arrived in chunks. Sophomore year. I moved off campus into a tired 3-bedroom with peeling paint and a landlord who spoke in shrugs. Asterisk asterisk. Rent $600 asterisk. Asterisk for a room I could cross in 6 steps. Asterisk. Asterisk. Deposit $1. 200. Buspaspinkis dashim monthly. Books more than anyone wants to admit. Food whatever was left. I measured coffee by tablespoons and dreams by whether I could afford printer ink. Some nights I folded grocery bags. The plastic clicking like fingernails. And thought about the letter on Dad's desk, the tidy condition attached to $200,000. I could still hear Grandma's whisper the way people remember a favorite song. For ice cream, she'd say, slipping singles into my pocket after church as if kindness were a secret. Then I pictured the asterisk asterisk, $400 guitar asterisk, asterisk leaning in a corner back home. Frets untouched. And the sound my brain made was not music. I pushed the cart down aisle 7 and learned to hate the jolt where the tile seam never lined up. Winter break arrived, and my roommates disappeared like a tide. I stayed because shifts were open, and the residence hall let me keep my key if I signed a form. On Christmas Eve, the store manager asked if I could cover until close. I said yes. At 11, I turned the key in the glass door and watched a couple hurry past with a paper bag tucked between their arms. Laughing. It was the precise size of a console box. I went back to the dorm and opened the 2-pack of socks I'd bought myself that morning, part joke, the part necessity, and put them on like armor. In January, a message arrived from Mom. This time, wrapped in courtesy. We'd like to visit. She wrote. Sunday. Just to see where you live. I typed no. Then deleted it. I wrote. I'm working. Which was also true. They showed up anyway. I came up the stairs with a milk crate of textbooks and found them in the hallway. Dad holding a grocery store cake with Happy New Year slanted across it like an afterthought. Surprise. Mom said, peering past me. We brought something sweet. My roommates weren't home. I set the crate down and took the cake. I don't eat vanilla. I said. Before I could stop myself, Mom's smile thinned. We thought you got over that. Allergies aren't beliefs you change with effort. But explaining that felt like handing them a tool for later. I set the cake on the counter and asked if they wanted coffee. They did. They always did. We were thinking. Dad said, tapping the table. Maybe you could talk to Caleb about school. He's struggling in English. You're good with words. What happened to his guitar? I asked. He blinked. What? The asterisk, $400 asterisk guitar. I said. The one he might learn. Don't be petty. Mom said. He's been through a lot. They hadn't come to see me. They'd come to rehearse asking me for something else. This was the warm-up. So, I poured coffee, nodded at their stories, and let them leave with their cake intact. After the door clicked shut, I tossed it. Spring drummed on the bus shelter roof. A new manager at the store liked lists and punctuality. I was both. So he gave me more hours. I made the dean's list and stuck the letter on my fridge with a lemon-shaped magnet. I took it down before anyone visited because I didn't want to explain that I put it there for me. A week after finals. Caleb called with the breezy tone he used when he wanted something. He said. Like we were sharing a bunk bed again. Can you co-sign a car? It's a used Civic. The dealership said I just need a steady income adult. I'm 19. You've got a job. He said. Confident as gravity. Be a team player. Be a buspas. I said. And hung up. At 20. I learned there are 3 kinds of help. The kind you give freely. The kind you lend with terms. And the kind that's just permission for someone to keep stepping on your foot while calling it a dance. I set a tutoring rate I could live with. I practiced asking for raises. I said no to almost everything else. Sophomore summer. Grandma's lawyer left a polished voicemail. He was closing the estate files and wanted to confirm I'd received the *** separate educational fund. ***. Grandma had set aside long before the asterisk. $5. 000 asterisk. Asterisk intended for my first semester books and supplies. I didn't receive it. I said when I called back. My hand warming the plastic of the store phone. He paused. Records show it was deposited into a joint account under your parents' names shortly after your high school graduation. We assumed it reached you. I thanked him and hung up. In the stockroom by the walk-in freezer. I put my palm on the cool metal and counted backward from 20. The anger didn't spike. It settled into a layer you paint before everything else. Primer? After that cures. The colors go on straighter. The next time Dad called, I didn't answer. The time after that, I did. Because I wanted to hear what story they'd pick. Your mother worries. He said. You don't keep us updated. I'm busy paying for things you said we couldn't afford. I said. By the way, thanks for the scholarship you spent. Silence. Then his sigh tried to become authority. Watch your tone. I hung up. Junior year. I moved to a studio above a laundromat. The machines hummed until midnight, which made sleep easy because it sounded like rain. Rent $780 The bus lines were better. And the store moved me to front-end supervisor with a $1. Hour raise. My days clicked like a metronome class. Work. Study. Sleep. On Sundays I walked past houses with porches and tried to imagine sitting without waiting for a door to open behind me and ask who needed what. News about Caleb reached me sideways. A mutual friend said he'd dropped a class. A photo on someone's feed showed him at a concert. A rumor floated about a fender bender with a borrowed car. Every story shared the same physics momentary heat. No, aftermath. When Mom said he's been through a lot, she meant life happened, and she declared the kindest thing was to keep life from sticking to him. Senior spring. An unknown number called. While I counted tills, I let it go to voicemail. Later. In the break room. I listened. Hey. Caleb said. Voice tight. I need 200. Just until Friday. Don't tell Mom and Dad. Call me. I deleted it. 10 minutes later. A text from Mom arrived, as if the house ran on a switchboard, and my number lit when he pressed a button. Your brother is under stress. If you have anything extra, now would be a good time to step up. I looked at the break room bulletin board. Lost cat. Extra couch. Study group times, and thought about how many asks in the world were genuine need and how many were rehearsals for bigger ones. I put my phone face down and finished the count. Graduation tasted like paper and relief. I walked across a stage to shake a stranger's hand while my manager yelled my name from the cheap seats, like I was his kid. Afterward, I ate tacos in a park with my roommates because every restaurant had a line. I texted Grandma's old number, even though it didn't go anywhere I did it. Then I applied for jobs without telling home. Because some news you keep in your pocket until it's hard enough to hold. The first offer came from a regional logistics company that liked my retail experience and my knack for keeping breakable things moving. Asterisk. Salary $42. Ling ling ling. I accepted. I rented an apartment with a window that opened more than 3 inches and a lock that didn't stick. The corner store guy learned my name. I bought a second-hand sofa that didn't dip on one side. When I signed the lease, The landlord slid the key across the table and said, "Welcome home," in a voice that still made something in me stand up straighter. Mom called the next week. I let it ring, then picked up because I wanted to practice speaking to her like a person I wasn't afraid of. "We heard you graduated," she said. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Because when I tell you things, they turn into things for asterisk, asterisk Caleb, asterisk, asterisk," I said. "I wanted one thing to stay mine for a minute." "That's not fair," she said. "We've always supported you." "Name one time you chose me when he wanted something different," I said. Not angry, just curious. She didn't answer. After a long pause, she tried another door. "We should have a dinner. Celebrate." "Caleb can." "I'm busy," I said, and meant it. The first year out, I learned new math deductibles. 400 jednak meczes. How much joy a decent mattress buys. By January, I got a small promotion in extra asterisk, asterisk $2. 500 asterisk, asterisk a year. I sent myself flowers on my birthday so the apartment would smell like something I chose. The delivery guy said, "Lucky person." And I said, "Yeah," and didn't explain. Every so often, a message from home slipped past whatever gate I'd built. Caleb asking for a favor that came with a timer. Mom forwarding a photo of him with a grin and a caption that turned his choices into weather. Dad leaving a curt voicemail about respect. I kept them in a folder labeled utilities because that's what they felt like, bills you don't want but sometimes pay just to keep the lights steady. On a late Thursday in early autumn, I locked the office, stepped into cool air, and thought without knowing why of the diner across town where the coffee is a little burnt and the pie is too sweet. I pictured a corner booth, a napkin bleeding red dye onto someone's fingertips. I didn't know why that image picked me. I only knew to notice it. Families who rehearse certain requests eventually stage them. When they do, they'll dress the ask in whatever word you let. Work on you. Emergency. Favor. Efficient. I walked home under a sky the color of promises people forget to keep and told myself what I'd been saying since the envelope on Dad's desk, asterisk, asterisk. Prepare asterisk, asterisk. But don't wait by the door. The knock always comes. The only choice you get is asterisk, asterisk. What you open, asterisk, asterisk. The call came on a Tuesday that had every intention of being ordinary emails, a status meeting, a stubborn spreadsheet that finally balanced when I fixed a format cell. I stepped out for lunch, ordered a turkey sandwich I'd had a dozen times, and had taken one bite when my phone lit with an out-of-area number. "Hello." A breath. Then Ethan. She said my name like it might unlock something. "It's your mother." I let the silence sit. It held. "This is hard," she said. I heard paper on her end, the old prelude. "We need help. It's an emergency." "What kind?" I asked, because the word had been stretched thin in our family. "Can you meet us tonight? The Orchard Diner. 7. The voice she keeps for Caleb's soft urgency clicked into place. "Please." I stared at the smudge of mustard on my napkin and the half-moon bite in my sandwich, then said, "I'll be there." At 6:58, I pushed through the glass door. The bell over it rang once. Clean. The diner looked like every diner neon hum. P-domes fogged. Coffee that smelled a little burned and a little comforting. They were in a corner booth. Mom sat on the aisle, as if she needed an exit strategy. Dad was opposite, arms folded tight enough to creak. "Hi," I said. My hands stayed at my sides. Mom stood too quickly and hugged me before I could decide. Perfume she rationed for holidays. "Thank you for coming," she said. "We didn't know who else to call." Dad gave me a single nod. "Sit. Please." The server poured coffee without asking, the way people do when they've seen this play before. Mom wrapped both hands around her mug, as if he could do the talking. "It's about Caleb," she began. "Of course it was. He's in trouble," she said. "He fell in with the wrong people. There were bad choices." She worked to keep the sentences neat. "He owes money." "How much?" I asked. Dad dropped the number like a weight. 30,000. Due Friday. I sipped coffee that was too hot and didn't complain. And you came to me. You're his brother. Mom said quickly. Family helps family. Dad added. We emptied savings. Took a small loan on the car. It's not enough. How did it get to 30? I asked. That's not a parking ticket. Complicated. Mom said. Try me. Some failed classes. Dad said. A job that fell through. He co-signed for a friend who disappeared. Fees stacked. Penalties. His palms opened. Empty. He's been through a lot. There it was again, the phrase that turns weather into reason. How much of Grandma's money is left? I asked. Not to trap them. Just to make the ledger audible. Mom flinched. That was years ago. How much? I repeated. Level. Dad didn't blink. None. Two high school kids slid into a booth behind me. Laughing about a teacher. Their ease landed like a small egg, and then dissolved. We're not asking you to cover it all. Mom said. The polite lie that tries to make itself a favor. If you could lend 20, we'll find the rest. We'll pay you back. When I asked, as soon as we can. She said, no date. Dad admitted. But we're good for it. I let the promise sit. It didn't grow legs. Do you remember my 16th birthday? I asked. Mom frowned. We went to that arcade you liked. You went to the arcade Caleb liked. I said. You brought one cake. Vanilla. You can't still. I'm allergic. I said. Not loud? Just clear. I sat in a corner with hives while you took pictures of him, blowing out candles on my day. You told me not to be selfish because he was fragile. You made fragile into a past good for anything. We did our best. She whispered. Your best always meant choosing him. I said. Pizza nights. The $$400 guitar. The $$20. Calculator. We couldn't afford the inheritance you spent. The efficient joint party when I turned 18. I learned a lot from all that. One lesson stuck: when people show you their reflex, believe it. Dad leaned in. Yuff said. This isn't helpful. I didn't come to be helpful. I said. Not in the way you mean. Mom reached across the table. Her fingers tremble. Please. They'll hurt him. I looked at her hands, the same hands that moved furniture to make space for his friends, and pushed a vanilla cake past my plate, and let the room blur until all I saw was the tremor at her knuckles, and the honest fear in her ring. I waited for the old response in me. The one that offered myself as a cushion. It didn't come. What will you do if I say no? I asked. She blinked. Surprised. We'll find another way. You always do. I said. The server set a plate of cherry pie near my elbow. On the house. She said. Kind, without prying. The filling bled onto the porcelain. Red, seeping into white. I thought of the napkin at that stolen birthday, the dye that stained my fingers when I held on too tight. Some stains wash. Some teach you what not to pick up again. I can pay for dinner. I said. Mom flinched as if I'd pushed the table. That's not Ethan. Please. Dad's voice went hard. He's your brother. No. I said. Steady. He's your son. I'm the person you had before you found the one you actually wanted. Mom recoiled like a window had been opened in January. How can you say that? Because I was there. I said. For every choice. Silence settled. The kids behind me debated milkshake flavors, like the world would always be that simple. I wished them a long time of being right. Mom tried one more door. Softer. If we lose him. I held her gaze. Nothing loosened. What arrived instead was a boundary I'd spent 10 years tracing, finally locking into place. Then, I said. Not unkind. You'll understand what it's like to lose a child. She stared. Dad looked at his watch. Like time might coach him through this. I slid $50. Under the edge of the check. That's for the meal. I said. It's more than you ever gave me. I stood. Mom caught my sleeve. Ethan. She said. And in that one word, lived every lullaby she didn't sing and every favor she did for someone else. Please. I looked at her hand. The skin was thinner than I remembered. I thought of the bus door closing on my 18th birthday. Of quarters and a calculator. Of a letter that put a price on love and called it a condition. I thought of the word efficient and how often it had been a synonym for, not for you. I hope he figures it out. I said. And meant it. I really do. At the counter, I nodded to the server and walked out. The bell rang 1, 2, 3. October. Cool and almost rain. On the sidewalk. I blocked the number that had found me and put the phone in my pocket. The city sounded like itself. 2 days later, a mutual friend texted heard Caleb, covered the debt asterisk, sold the house, to do it. Your folks are moving to a rental for now. The shrug emoji that followed landed like weather. I sat on my sofa and let the wall be a wall. Then I took out the trash. On the way back, I checked the mailbox. A coupon for the Orchard Diner, 10% off pie. I put it in recycling and closed the lid. Some routes you walk once, so you know exactly which ones not to take again. That night I made pasta with garlic and greens. Sarah knocked 3 times the code we didn't plan but kept. She kissed my cheek. Wrinkled her nose at the garlic. Smiled. Dropped her bag. And told me how her shift had gone. I listened. It is a particular kind of miracle to be in a room where attention isn't a prize you earn, but a thing you give because you can. You good? She asked when we sat down. I am. I said. Surprised by how true it was. I am. Later. Lying awake. I considered the way stories close their loops. In ours. The family home would become a listing. Then a set of signatures. Then a place that belonged to someone else. Asterisk. Asterisk. Only after closing asterisk. Asterisk. A asterisk management company. Asterisk might come through to asterisk liquidate what was left. Asterisk tagging what didn't travel. I didn't know yet that I'd walk into that sale and see a familiar guitar with a price that turned history into a punchline and then into a gift for someone who would actually play it. I only knew this boundaries hold when you build them to carry weight. And once they hold, the world gets quieter, not empty. Just honest. I didn't expect the aftermath to be loud. I expected shouting matches. Slammed doors. The kind of drama people mistake for justice. What came instead was ordinary sound turned precise the hum of my fridge at midnight. The small sigh the office elevator makes when it settles at the lobby. The whisper a cardboard box makes when you crease its top correctly. Consequences rarely perform. They clock in and start moving furniture. News about my parents traveled to me the way weather does brief alerts. No requests for comment. A neighbor from the old street texted your folks put up a for sale sign. 2 weeks later, it flipped to sold. A week after that saw the moving truck at dawn. The messages landed without exclamation points. And I appreciated the courtesy of that. Work. Meanwhile, noticed that I kept things from wobbling. We closed the quarter strong. Cleared the back orders that had dogged us since spring. And the operations director called me into a glass box of a conference room that made everyone look faintly aquatic. We're creating a new role, he said, sliding a paper toward me like it might break. Associate Planning Lead. You've been doing the work for months. Let's make it official. Title bump. Pay bump. Asterisk. Another $6. Ling ling ling. Same coffee. Different taste. I texted Sarah a photo of the offer letter, with no caption. She replied with emojis that approximated confetti. A lemon. And a tiny forklift. I laughed at my desk and pretended it was at an email. That weekend we wandered an open house because she likes seeing how people arrange their lives, and I wanted to meet the shape of someday in square feet. The place had a slanted porch and a kitchen floor that clicked under your shoes. On the fridge, a magnet held a takeout menu. It was shaped like a lemon. I thought of the magnet I used years ago to pin my Dean's List letter. Maybe that's all a steady life is small. Good repetitions that don't need anyone else's permission to continue. On Monday, a community board I follow pinged me, post-closing liquidation management company sale everything must go, The address was my old street. I clicked the gallery lamps. a couch that had outlived its promises, a blender with a familiar hairline crack in the lid, and in one photo, leaning in a corner like it had been waiting to be named, the asterisk, $400 guitar asterisk. A yellow tag hung from a tuning peg, asterisk, $15, asterisk. I put the time on my calendar. I didn't tell anyone. Saturday. I parked half a block away and walked up slow. The house looked smaller, which is what happens when you remove the scaffolding of daily routine. The door stood open. Not like a welcome, but like a procedure. Inside, folding tables made a kind of temporary map. A bored teen in a branded polo took cash at a card table. A woman with a clipboard crossed items off a printed manifest. No parents. No sentiment. Just inventory. The guitar case was lighter than memory. Or I was heavier in the right ways now. I paid $15, and the teen slid me a receipt that read MC sale post close. No returns, he said. Not looking up. I carried the case to my trunk and drove straight to the youth center. The receptionist glanced at the latches and smiled like we were sharing a secret. We take instruments, she said. Before I finished my sentence, someone's always waiting. It shouldn't sit in a corner, I said. Then it won't, she answered, and wrote something on a clipboard that wasn't my name. 2 days later, a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize, and then, because curiosity is also a reflex, I called back. We need to talk, Dad said. It wasn't a hello. We're talking, I said. He cleared his throat. That old prelude, that pretended control. We've moved. Temporarily. I heard. It's not ideal, he said. But it's a reset. What does that mean? I asked. It means we're reconsidering some things. I didn't feed the silence. He tried again. Your mother is having a hard time. I imagine losing a house is hard. That's not what He stopped. Change tactics. We're having a small family dinner Saturday. Your brother will be there. We want to put things behind us. Behind us where? I asked. In a place we'll trip over later. He made the sound he used to make when I'd won an argument, and he wanted to erase the scoreboard. Don't be dramatic. Then don't invite me to a dinner that's a preamble to an ask. I said. I don't walk into those anymore. We're not asking for money, he said quickly. Not now. Good, I said, because I would have said no. A long pause. And then a smaller voice than I expected. You're really done with us. I'm done with the version where I exist to stabilize him. I said, if you can stop rehearsing that play, maybe we can talk about a different one. He reached for a name. Your grandmother would have wanted. No, I said. And let the edge show. Grandma would have wanted honesty. Don't use her to invoice me. He didn't say her name again. Take care of yourself, he said, and hung up like a man who wasn't sure if he'd meant it. That fall, Sarah and I found an unhurried rhythm. She kept one drawer at my place. Then too, we learned how to share a bathroom without choreography. Who reaches for the kettle first? Which side of the bed notices the sunrise earliest? On Sundays we did groceries together and disagreed, lightly, about paper towels while agreeing absolutely on pasta. One gray morning in November she looked up from a listing and said, gently, you could buy. I'm not ready, I said. And then, in the same breath, I could be. The lender looked at my savings and the credit score I treated like a fragile artifact. Numbers lined up. We toured a condo in a building that smelled faintly of fresh paint and new keys. Light from both sides. A balcony just big enough for 2 chairs and a plant that wouldn't die if you forgot once. I ran my hand along the counter and felt something deep inside me shift from borrowed to belonging. Closing day happened in a conference room with too much wood paneling. I signed papers that said you live here now and no one else votes on that. The agent slid the keys across the table and said the sentence I didn't know I needed, it's yours. We ate takeout on the floor because the forks were still in a box. We toasted with water because the champagne wasn't cold yet. There was a scratch near the baseboard. And I had the instinct to apologize to an authority that wasn't there. The quiet in the new place wasn't empty. It was neutral. It would hold what we brought to it, and nothing we didn't. A week into living there, Mom called from a borrowed phone. I let it go to voicemail. Listened to her say my name twice. Then called back because avoidance isn't the same as a boundary, and I wanted to practice the latter. "You sound well," she said, as if she'd chosen the line from a script she didn't trust yet. "I am." "We moved," she said. "It's smaller." I figured. "I'm learning the bus," she said, and the laugh she made felt like a dare for me to make fun of her. I didn't. "It's confusing." "It is at first," I said. "You'll learn." Silence then, like a hand held out across a ditch. "He's okay. You know, Caleb. He covered it. He used the sail." I heard. "He said you were cold at the diner." She tried. "That hurt him." I was clear. I said, "There's a difference." "We did our best," she said, the reflex still ready. "I believe you," I said, and surprised both of us with how true that felt. It just wasn't good for me. She breathed out. Sharp. "People say you're cruel." "People said that when I was 8 and asked why he got a console and I got socks." I never said. "You said. He's been through so much. You're lucky you've always had us." I was 10. She didn't argue. After a long beat, she tried a door I hadn't seen her try. "We should see your new place," she said. And for once, it wasn't a wedge to pry something loose. It sounded like a sentence she wanted to test out loud. "Not yet," I said, keeping my voice soft. What would make it possible is if we could talk without making every road lead back to him. If you could leave some space for me and not treat it like you're stealing from him. "We can't promise that yet," she said. Honest, in a way that sounded almost like a beginning. "But we see it now." "That's a start," I said. After we hung up, I stood on the balcony with a mug of tea and watched the city light its windows one by one. I thought about the word asterisk, fair asterisk, and how people wield it when it suits them. My version had become simple. You make choices. You pay for them. If you spend a decade showing me what matters to you, I'll believe you and arrange my life accordingly. The holidays edged close. Sarah and I bought a small tree and decorated it with cheap glass that caught the radiator's clangs and turned them festive. On Christmas morning, she handed me a box. I opened it to find socks deliberately ridiculous, soft enough to embarrass cloud companies. We laughed until we had to sit down. Later, we split a slice of cherry pie at the Orchard Diner because it made a good private joke. The bell rang once. Clean. The napkin stayed white. On the way home, my phone buzzed with a photo from an unknown number. Caleb leaned against a car that looked like it ran on confidence. No caption. I stared at it for a breath, put the phone face down, and looked at Sarah. "Ready for a quiet night?" she asked. "More than I knew," I said. Here's the quiet truth. I hadn't expected to learn the most complete version of revenge isn't spectacle. It's absence. It's the neat space where you do not stand to take the hit meant for someone else. It's a life arranged without their emergencies at the center. And if you keep it long enough, the space fills with something sturdier than triumph. It fills with peace. But peace tempts history. In late January, an envelope arrived with my parents' return address. Inside, a copy of a lease agreement for their new place, and a small note at the bottom in my mother's careful script asterisk. "Could you read this? The landlord is difficult. We don't want to get taken advantage of." I set it on the counter, let the kettle click off and on. Then I picked up a pen and a stack of sticky notes. I underlined the clauses that were off late fee traps. Repair responsibilities, shifted the wrong way. I wrote in the margins. Asterisk. These parts aren't standard. Ask for revision. Asterisk. I slid my notes back into the envelope and mailed it. No fireworks. No victory speech. Just a line I chose. Drawn straight. Across town. Maybe a reflex paused. Maybe it didn't. I didn't build my day around finding out. What came next would test the boundaries I'd built and the peace I'd started to trust. It wouldn't be loud either. But it would be clear. They didn't call it an emergency this time. They called it a favor. The email landed on a Wednesday afternoon with the subject line "Short-term help." Inside, my mother's sentences were placed like tiles by someone who expects the floor to be inspected. We need a place to stay for a week. She wrote, just until the lease is sorted. We can bring an air mattress. It would mean the world. I read it twice. Then a third time, the way I read contracts slow. Looking for the hinge. A week was a number you could point to. The air mattress was an attempt at smallness. The world was leverage. Dressed as gratitude. I closed the laptop and put the kettle on. Sarah glanced up from the table where she was grating. Pen paused. You're making your decision, T. She said. I told her the email. The phrasing. The way the word favor can be either a key or a crowbar. What do you want to do? She asked, not what she wanted. Not what I should. A clean question. I want to help in a way that doesn't rearrange my life around their crisis. I said. Saying it out loud, put a yellow line on the floor. I wrote back. I can't host. I can meet you in the morning with options. An hour later my phone buzzed. Not a call. A photo, a small moving truck with its door rolled up. Boxes stacked. A dented lamp I recognized. Then a follow-up. We're downstairs. They hadn't asked. They'd arrived. The oldest reflex. Just wearing a nicer jacket. I rode the elevator down because being late to your own life is a habit you can unlearn. The air had that metallic taste, it gets right before rain. Dad was at the back of the truck. Hands on his hips like the solution might be hiding under a box. Mom stood near the curb waving up at random windows. As if the building were an audience. Caleb leaned against the passenger door. Posture set to casual like always. We brought the basics. Dad said. Patting the truck. Just a week. No. I said. Without patting it. He blinked. No. What? No. You can't move in. I faced Mom. I wrote that I could meet you with options. I meant it. Caleb smirked. Come on. 7 days. You won't even notice. I noticed plenty of box-marked kitchen in my mother's careful print. A red dish towel draped across the top. Its color not bleeding for once, the way Dad already had one foot on the curb. A man ready to lift something he'd then claim was too heavy to carry alone. You need to step back. I said to my father. Because he'd already started forward. We're family. He said. And I have boundaries. I said. Those aren't opposites. We don't want to be a burden. Mom tried. Opening the softest door. You don't think you are. I said. That's different. Caleb pushed off the truck. Walking that line where a hug and a shoulder check looked the same at the start. We're not asking for cash. You said that was the issue. This is just space. It's never just space. I said. It's groceries and keys and my quiet at 2 in the morning. It's my life bending around your habits. He scoffed. You're still mad about a cake. I let the silence widen until he glanced away. I'm not mad about a cake. I said. I'm clear about a decade. Dad exhaled through his nose. What are we supposed to do? Then, sleep in the truck. No. I said. And held up a folder. You're supposed to pick one of these. Inside a list of short-term rentals that actually match their budget, a printed bus map with the routes to each circled in blue, the number for a tenants' rights clinic that had helped me mark up their lease, a flyer for the community center's job workshop with dates highlighted, a simple budget worksheet with the categories pre-filled, and the math done through March, so the next steps were visible. I wasn't going to fund the problem. I was going to remove a few excuses. Mom took the folder. The papers whispered in her hands. Why are you doing this? She asked honestly. Bewildered. Because I'm not trying to punish you. I said. I'm trying to stop the repetition. Caleb peered over her shoulder and laughed. A worksheet. Adorable. I looked at him and felt something new, not anger. Not pity. But a kind of weather change distance. You can laugh. I said. Or you can add up your numbers and stop pretending Friday surprises you every week. Dad straightened. Old speech loading. You think you're better than us? No. I said. I think I'm responsible for me. He opened his mouth ready to label that selfish. Mom touched his sleeve. Stop. She said. It was soft. But it landed. She tucked a loose strand behind her ear. Steadied her breath. What do we do to take one of these options? Pick one. I said. Call? I'll wait. If they need storage while you transition, I'll cover the *** first month of storage only ***. That's it. Storage. Caleb grimaced. We need a couch to sleep on. Not a place for a couch to sleep. You need a plan. I said. This helps you make one. You're cruel. He said. I'm consistent. I said. Dad's eyes searched my face for the old lever. When he didn't find it, he looked down. Which one's cheapest? I pointed. Studio above the barber shop. 2 buses. No. Transfer. Landlord returns calls. I spoke to him this morning. Mom dialed. The first call hit voicemail. The second rang through. Her tone shifted to the polite register she saves for strangers. Ah, yes. The listing. Is it still available? We can come now. She nodded to a voice none of us could hear. Okay. An hour. Good. I said. We stood under the awning as the sky decided to commit to rain. The truck idled. The folder tucked under Mom's coat showed a red corner. The color didn't bleed. Dad reached for a box and I put a hand on the liftgate. Don't unload. I said. You'll lose the spot. He held my gaze for one beat the look men give when they want to win something and suspect there's nothing left to win, then nodded once. A small, clean surrender. While the rain softened the edges of the afternoon, Mom looked up at me. And something in her face changed. Not younger. Not older. Just different. We spent the scholarship, she said. The words came like a confession no one forced. The ***5,000****. Your grandmother left for books. We told ourselves it was for the roof and that we'd put it back. We didn't. I'm sorry. I'd rehearsed that admission in my head 100 angry ways. What I felt instead was a quiet redistribution of weight, like a shelf settling to hold exactly what it should. Thank you for saying it. I said. Not absolution. Accounting. Dad cleared his throat, the old, wordless preface. We thought we were doing right by him. He said. Chin flicking toward Caleb. We thought protecting meant giving. It means teaching. I said. Even when the lesson is no. He stared at the street. We didn't know how. You can learn. I said. And handed him a bus card I'd loaded that morning. This gets you to the shop and back. He took it. Didn't say thank you. He didn't need to. For me to know he would think it later when the gate clicked open. The landlord called back while we were still under the awning. There was a key. There was a form. There were numbers. Mom repeated them carefully, like she was writing them on the inside of her ribs. I'll walk you to the stop. I said. At the corner. I pointed at the bench. Blue line. I said. Ride the back 2 cars. Front gets crowded near the transfer. Mom glanced at the route map. Then at me. You always notice helpful details. I had to. I said. Not bitter. Just true. The bus side up. Dad climbed first. Mom followed. Caleb lingered. Eyes on me like people look at maps, deciding whether to trust them. You'll regret this, he said. Not like a curse. Like a prediction. He needed to be right. I hope you're wrong, I said. He shook his head and stepped up. The doors closed. The bus pulled away. I stood there until the taillights turned the corner and the street remembered itself. Back upstairs, I put water on for pasta. Sarah came from the bedroom with her phone. All right, she asked. Yeah, I said. And meant it. We drew lines. They stood. We ate on the balcony because rain had scraped the air clean. Across the alley. Someone clinked glasses. Below. A dog barked once. Offended, and then fine. I told Sarah about the folder. The bus card. The red towel that didn't bleed. The apology that arrived like weather finally changing. She listened the way she always does, present. Not performing. When I finished, she leaned her shoulder into mine. You know what I love, she said. You didn't try to win. You tried to build. I thought of the asterisk post-closing liquidation, asterisk at my old street, and the guitar that left a corner to find a kid. Of the lease I'd marked with sticky notes. Of my father holding a plastic card like it might sting and pocketing it anyway. Maybe that's the point. I said. Not to win. To stop playing the wrong game. A week later. An email arrived, a photo of a small kitchen, 2 mugs. One plant with a single leaf and a subject line in my mother's careful type. We're learning the schedule. No ask. Just motion. I replied with a thumbs up emoji and the words, good start. I didn't want to turn a step into a performance review. In March, Sarah moved in officially. We rearranged the living room twice and landed on a map that made the space feel bigger. On a Saturday, we hung a red dish towel on the oven handle. We ran it under the tap first. Half joking. To see if the dye would run. It didn't. We laughed at ourselves for checking and left it there like a small flag. On a cute evening, I opened a box from college I hadn't touched in years. Inside were the socks I'd bought myself, one Christmas Eve, a 2-pack. Still soft. Hilariously ordinary. I put them on and walked around a home I paid for. A life that didn't require me to audition. People ask for a lesson like there's one you can embroider on a pillow. Here's mine. Asterisk. Fair isn't a feeling, it's a ledger. Asterisk. Choices on one side. Costs on the other. If you keep paying someone else's bill, they'll keep spending. If you set the bill down and walk away, maybe they'll learn math. Or they won't. Either way, you get your hands back. As for revenge, I don't call it that anymore. Revenge implies I wanted them to hurt as I did. I didn't. I wanted them to hear themselves. To sit in a room they chose and understand they chose it. To look up one day and realize the person they trained to be invisible had occupied his own life so completely there wasn't space left to be consumed. We went to the Orchard Diner once more. Because stories like circles. The bell rang once. The napkin stayed white. We split a slice of cherry pie, and the server topped off our coffee without asking. I looked over at the corner booth, where my parents had asked me for $30,000, and felt the room tilt for half a heartbeat. Then steady. Asterisk. The floor holds asterisk. I thought. It holds. Walking home. Evening softened the buildings to kinder shapes. On our fridge, a lemon magnet held the week's list. Groceries. Water the stubborn plant. Maybe catch a Tuesday concert if we felt like being the kind of people who go to concerts on Tuesdays. I added one line with a pin. Call mom, ask which bus she prefers. When I did, she told me the back 2 cars were less crowded. Good choice. I said. We said goodbye. No emergencies. No favors dressed as fate. Just a schedule. Just a day. I set the phone down in a kitchen that smelled faintly of garlic and good decisions. For a moment, I thought of the boy counting quarters for a calculator. The teenager swallowing hives at his own party. The freshman learning the bus map by heart. I wanted to tell him what I know now. The map gets you somewhere. The door you close can be the one that finally opens. And one day you'll stand in your own home. And the only thing fragile will be the glass you just washed already drying strong. Because you set it down the right way.